Most of the time, when I'm feeder fishing, I'm using this rig. That's a basic rig, which in my opinion is one of the best ones. So it has a twizzled loop here between the feeder and the hook link, which will be attached via this loop. And it means that on the cast, this stiff twizzled loop will always want to be more or less at 90 degrees to the main line, and that's great. But recently I was thinking, how do I improve this great rig already, and also how do I incorporate feeder gum into this rig? And this is the bad boy I came up with. So visually it might look like the same rig and it will have the same properties or the same mechanics. As you can see, the section between the feeder and the hook link, which will be attached via this loop, will want to be more or less at 90 degrees, which is great. It will mean that this rig will not tangle. But also you will notice that I have a section of feeder gum here. And that's great. So in my opinion, this is the ultimate rig when it comes to delicate feeder fishing. So during this video, I will explain and demonstrate in detail how to tie this improved feeder rig. It will be a good one, so please make sure you stick around. When feeder fishing, I always use braided line as a main line. It gives me plenty of advantages. But then I need some kind of a shock leader to tie my feeder rig onto. And in most cases I'm using fluorocarbon one. And the diameter of that fluorocarbon I have found, which works for me very well, is about 0.30. It works well for bream, roach, chub and other species. It's strong and most importantly it's stiff enough. And this is what you want for your feeder rig, because if the leader or shock leader will be stiff, then it means that the rig will tangle less, and that's great. But obviously as the fluorocarbon is a clear material, you would not be able to see what I'm doing. Therefore, for this demonstration I will use black monofilament line. So let's attach this leader onto the braided line, and then I will tie the rig onto this black line, which is a leader. So in most cases I'm using about meter to meter and a half shock leader, so a relatively short leader. I never reel the knot which connects the leader to the braided line through my guides. I just feel that I don't need that. So I will grab about meter and a half of this black line to act as my leader or shock leader. Then I will attach this shock leader to my braided line using GT knot. I won't go in detail how to tie this knot, but I have a separate video where I demonstrate in detail how to do it. Therefore, I won't talk too much whilst tying this knot. I will say this so that this knot is very easy to tie, very strong, small, just lovely knot in my opinion. I like it. I use it for my lure fishing, feeder fishing, basically everywhere where I need to connect braided line to thicker monofilament or fluorocarbon. That's it. Knots completed. Good test. And then I will trim off the tag ends. Right, as you can see here I have my super fine main line connected to thick monofilament. In your case, when you will be tying your own rig, make sure that it's not black and it's fluorocarbon ideally. So next steps are quite simple. I will grab a swivel with a clip, about size 10 to 12 to 14 will be ideal, and will thread it onto my line. Okay, I will slide this clip aside as I don't need it just yet. So now I want to tie a small loop on the end of this shock leader. And the best knot for this one is just simple surgeon's knot, double one. I have found that if you are using this knot, the line angle leaving the knot is perfect for this rig. Okay, I will use some tool just to tighten this knot up, just like that. And then I will trim off the tag end, leaving very short end by the knot, probably millimeter or so. Okay, we have that. Now I will grab Preston Innovation Studs shot in size 8. As you can see, I have put the first stud and will slide it by the knot. And then the same goes to the second one. Really, you only need one here, but I don't mind to have two, just to make sure that this rig is more reliable. Second one is on as well. Okay, we have this little deal. And then I will put all this thing aside and will grab my feeder gum. Basically, for this demonstration, I will use Drennan feeder gum, but again, you can use something from AliExpress like this one, which is great quality, but again, I won't use it just now because it's clear. You would not be able to see what I'm doing that well. Therefore, I will use Drennan for this demonstration, but this stuff is, as I say, as good and I don't know, 20 times cheaper probably compared to Drennan stuff, which is also very good. So I will grab probably, I would say maybe 20 centimeters of this Drennan feeder gum. Also, it's very important when tying this rig to pre-stretch the feeder gum. So basically all you do is just grab both tag ends and just give a couple of pulls just to make sure that, you know, it won't stretch anymore once the rig is tied. So all good here. Then I will double it over, making sure that the tags are as close to each other as possible, just like that. And then I will form a twizzled loop using this feeder gum by twisting with my fingers to the opposite directions. But again, when or as the feeder gum is doubled over, it might look that you are twisting to the same direction. But in any case, the twizzled loop or boom should be formed whilst you're doing it. Just like that. Now, I will attach this feeder gum to this loop I tied earlier, using any knot really, but I just will use blood knot. It's easy and, you know, it's strong and reliable knot as well. 4 times will be enough. Make sure that both tag ends of that feeder gum are going through the initial loop. Obviously wet the knot when tying your own rig and then test it. Okay, that looks great. Then I will trim off the tag ends, leaving longer ends actually here, probably 0.5 centimeter, it does not matter. But as I will have them longer, I will make sure that they won't slip, you know, because that's a stretchy material. As you can see, I ended up with this little deal. So I'll place it onto the table for now, and then I will grab a piece of silicone tubing. In my case, I have the one which has diameter, internal diameter of 1 millimeter. But again, if you will be using thicker feeder gum, make sure that you are using thicker silicone tubing as well. Now it's important to measure roughly how long of the tubing you need. So you want to cover those shots a little bit, as you can see here, to end up just having that feeder gum sticking out more or less, or being a little bit longer than the silicone tubing. So in my case, I have to cut that silicone tubing just here. So now I want to place that silicone tubing over that feeder gum knots and shot as well. The easiest way to achieve that is just grab some line. I will use the same thick and black material. I will grab probably about 40 centimeters of it because I will need that. And then I will double it over, align it just like that. And then I will thread one of them tagging through the feeder gum's loop, just like that. And then I will thread onto that monofilament line that silicone tubing. You could use like copying needle if you have a very long one, but it's much easier to do it with a line. So all I will do now, I will hold that monofilament line and will grab that silicone tubing and force it to go above the feeder gum. Then I will need to use more force the silicone to go over the knot. You can wet also the area around the knots. But now the most important thing is not to rush, not to use too much energy and hold that, that monofilament line. And gently work that silicone further and further towards the knot on the monofilament. I'm almost here. Okay, I am here. Now I will make sure that my shots are close to the knot and will slide that silicone gently, just grabbing and holding by the knot. So I will push that silicone above one shot fully and probably a little bit over the other one as well. More or less like that. And that's it, guys. As you can see, I have a stiff section from the leads or from this knot towards the loop, which is great. But also I have some stretch in here because I have my feeder gum. That's ideal. So now I will look for that swivel, which I put on earlier. Will grab my feeder. Will clip it on, just like that. And that's it, guys. As you can see, that rig is complete. Now, under the load, that twizzled loop between the feeder and the hook link, which will be attached via this loop, will want to kind of go away from the feeder. And on the cast, obviously the feeder will be going first. And this section, as it's stiff, it will never allow the hook link to go very close to the leader and get tangled, and that's great. And also, this rig will have feeder gum, which will allow you to land bonus fish on light tackle. That's great. But it will be it from me for today. I hope you'll find this video useful. If you will, please consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.